Turn up the volume nice and loud, cause we are controlling transmission with dance beats and R&B. You're in the mix with Lil Drummer Girl with your host, Dawn Marie.
Hey there, thanks for stopping by. I just wanted to let you know real briefly that I do have a bit of a snafu in this recording where some of the sound has a little bit of a popping sound to it, which I can't seem to get out in post-production. So I apologize, but thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate it and enjoy.
Hey, Dawn Marie here. Today's topic on myths and misconceptions about how social media and networking is a waste of time and that it can kill your bottom line results. And well, today's special guest, Krimitsos, is here to demystify that for us. She is the co-owner and chief operating officer of the Tampa Bay Business Owners Association, a very special community of business owners who come together to provide support, education, and connections to one another. She's also the host of the BizWomen Rock podcast, and now the creator of the fantastic podcast content. She is a passionate writer and loves to connect others authentically and provide platforms for transformation and connections. She loves blogging and is a new mom of a beautiful baby girl, Sedona, and 2 parrots. So let's welcome Katie. Hey, Katie, how's it going today?
Hey, Miss Dawn Marie. It's going very well. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I know with all of your businesses going on and your little girl, you have a lot going on. So
life is a little full, you know.
I would say, just to put it mildly, that you're just underselling that one.
I love it. I've always been I think my entire life has been like, you know, if you're not moving at 100 miles an hour, if you don't have a full plate, then, you know, what's the point?
I like that. I know we only have a little bit of time together, so is it okay if we start busting these myths and jump right in?
Absolutely.
Awesome. How did you come to create the Tampa Bay Owners Association?
So I can't take credit for it. My husband, Chris, is just a phenomenal visionary, and about 8 years ago, and that was back in 2008, he was in the real estate investor space. Actually, I was too. We're both investors, and that's kind of how we met. But separate from us really meeting, he had a TV show locally, and he just realized that the best connections that he was making was when he was connecting people sort of behind the scenes after the TV show. And they were a lot of business people, a lot of real estate people. And so he just kind of had this idea of like, hey, you know, I wonder if people would like get together on a regular basis, but for the sole purpose of really helping each other out, like not really to like sell to each other per se, because that's what, you know, your typical networking group really does, but really like to actually help each other out and help brainstorm in each other's businesses and share best practices. So he launched the idea to what he had of a community and a following at the time, got 100 people in the room and said, hey, here's kind of my thought. We'll do a once-a-month meeting, and at this meeting we'll have a great speaker, and we'll just kind of help each other out, and we'll have a format for that. And to his shock, about 20 people joined, and thus started the Tampa Bay Business Owners. And I actually came on 9 months later as a member myself, because I had just written my very first book, which is a very long story I don't even want to get into, and realized that I needed to learn the actual business of marketing and selling this book. So I wanted to be around other entrepreneurs who could help me figure that out. And shortly thereafter, we, got together as a couple. And so I became the helpful girlfriend, helping him in his business. And that eventually led to me really establishing myself and having ownership in the company. And so it has really established itself since 2008 as a very special community of entrepreneurs. It's an entrepreneurs-only community, and so you have to be a business owner in order to join. And the purpose of it that distinguishes it from any other networking group or chamber type of an organization is that it's really the place where an entrepreneur gets to be around other entrepreneurs and gets to brainstorm on ideas and have access to education that is very targeted at helping you work on your business instead of in your business, and help you understand on how to better yourself as the CEO of your company. So that's kind of how that got started.
I love it. I actually went to the Christmas in July event that you did at the Pepin location last July.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. That was really great.
Yeah.
How important would you say it is for a business with respect to networking?
I think it's vital. I'm, especially in this day and age of online platforms and to be able to connect and network in online spaces, which I equally think is very, very important. The art of face-to-face connecting and collaboration and networking, I think, is absolutely vital to any business. Number one, because you just kind of need to get out there and practice talking to people and talking about your business and about yourself. And number two, it's just about building relationships. And if you're out there and you're networking for the sole purpose of like every person you meet is like a potential lead and you have to get them in your funnel, there's a different result that you're going to get versus going out with the intention. Networking is all about intention. It's all about going out with the intention of building a relationship and allowing those relationships to feed whatever it is that your business needs and allow you to give to whatever that relationship needs. And so networking and finding groups that are in line with who you are and what your goals are is very, very important because it helps you really dig root into a community that can be the entire sort of wind under your sails or the wind behind your sails during your business journey.
Well, there are a lot of people out there, and myself included, who are actually introverts who have to become extroverts, especially in the networking scene, so that you can get away from that shyness. Do you have any tips to help them break away from that?
Absolutely. I have some really good, very good, like practical things. Okay, so the first one is to recognize the fact that you do not have to be Miss Social Butterfly or Mr. Social Butterfly in order to be a phenomenal networker and relationship builder. Because remember, networking is not about how many people you know, it's about the quality of the relationships and the depth of the relationships. And so the very first thing, again, is setting the intention. Like when let's say you're going to an event, how do I do this? Your number one goal should be, how can I add value to anyone that I encounter today? And how can I just strike up a conversation, and then go and see that as practice. Like, let me just talk to people about, about anything. Like, it doesn't have to be about business. It doesn't have to be about whatever. Top literally be about like, hey, so your kids go to soccer too? Oh, that's awesome. Because that establishes relationship and connection. And those are the conversations that people really remember. And that is a good foundation to keep on building business relationships. So one cool practical tip that I could give you is to find a networking buddy, I'm going to call it. Just know you're really comfortable with, especially if you're an introvert, and it's a networking event with the buddy, and you're bringing me over and you do the introduction for me so that, like, they kind of introduce you into the conversation and get to sort of speak for you, which is really nice because it leverages you in a way that you wouldn't be able to do on your own, and then you do that for them as well. So it's a really great way to sort of be automatically handed into a conversation where you're not forcing it and somebody else is doing it for you, but it's a buddy system, so you guys are each doing that together. So that's one just cool little tip. And then lastly is really just, again, to see that your job is not to make like the most known person in the room of 50 people. Your job is to say, okay, tonight I'm going to connect with 2 people. Like, that's my goal. I don't have to work the room, quote unquote. I just need to connect with 2 people. That's all I need to do.
I like that because I think it takes that pressure off right away. You don't feel like you have to have, like, how many business cards can you collect at a time, and all that great stuff.
Right. Yep.
So back to social media. What would you say might be the top 3 myths or misconceptions owners might have about utilizing social media platforms today?
I think that a lot is that you have to be super active on every single social media platform, that you have to have a very robust LinkedIn activity profile going on. You have to be like the master of Facebook. You have to be Miss, Twitter queen. You have to, be all over Instagram. Snapchat's really big right now, so you have to be the master of that. Periscope. The huge myth behind that is that you have to be everywhere all at once, all the time. And that, truthfully, is very, very difficult and draining. And so the tip that I would give to sort of demystify that is just to say, focus on one platform on social media where you, first and foremost, where you really enjoy being, because if you don't enjoy being there, it's no use trying to build out and spend your time there because it's painful for you to be somewhere where you don't want to be. And then just put your energies toward that one social platform and then kind of branch out from there as you find the time. Because otherwise you can find yourself spending spending many, many, many hours on all of these platforms and having a wide reach, but not getting very deep. You know what I mean by that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's the biggest one, and that's the one that I see over and over again.
Awesome. Do you have any tips for time management when it comes to using social media?
Absolutely. So the very first thing is that if you are in the position to do so, I'm a big believer in finding other people to do a lot of that rote kind of social media posting and management and all that sort of stuff. And the reason that I say that, it's sort of I'm not going to call it a luxury. I really don't want to call it luxury. That's something that I invest in because I know that itemize out my time and what I love to do the most. When it comes to certain aspects of social media, I don't love all the aspects of social media. I mean, as a whole, I really enjoy spending time on social media, but that even within, let's say Facebook is like my platform. I suck at most everything else. But even amongst Facebook, BizWomen Rock has a very powerful presence through a page. We have over 25,000 likes on the page, and it's very, very active. And I have a very, very active and powerful Facebook group that has about 3,200 women in it. I love spending my time managing the group and being the leader of the group. I don't really love doing all of the work that goes behind managing the page. Like I'm not going to say I hate it because, I've definitely done it and it's good, it's fine, but it takes up a lot of time. So I invest in hiring a strategist. She's part of my social media team. She and I meet on a regular basis. She knows who I am. She knows what BizWomen Rock is all about. She knows how to represent my brand. And she's the one who does all the posts. And she's the one scheduling all that stuff in, connecting with me about sharing articles and sharing all that sort of stuff. And so that leverages my time considerably. So that's my number one tip is that hire out the things that aren't the best use of your time. Even if you, quote unquote, don't mind doing them, if it's not the highest and best use of your time on social media, hire it out to somebody who is a heck of a lot better and more efficient at it than you are. And B, really believes and gets behind your brand so they do a great job representing you. So that's the first tip. The second tip, as far as time management goes, is to, I guess I'm going to call it like batching. For example, if you are managing your Facebook page or you are, scheduling out or you are doing your Twitter posts or something like that, schedule that. So instead of every day I'm going to send out 10 tweets, take an hour on a Monday and come up with your, 100 tweets for the week and schedule them in some sort of scheduling software, and then you're done with them. Then you've worked on that for an hour and you're done with it. You don't have to think about it for, another week. Many women on my show have talked about this, and it's so successful for them. So they're scheduling out their stuff in advance, and so they don't have to think about it once it's done, which is great because otherwise you can feel very schizophrenic if you're trying to do that sort of in real time.
Love that because it is really important to try to get that scheduled.
Absolutely. And then the third thing that I would say is be authentic. This is probably very overstated. Authenticity is kind of has lost the real meaning of the word because everyone uses it, but it's so true. Make sure that you and your brand, that you are speaking true to who you are and what you believe in, and don't be apologetic about it. So, an example is BizWomen Rock. Me and the brand, synonymously speaking, are very real. I'm very open with the ups and the downs of my business journey. Obviously the women who are on my show are talking about that in very real fashion. So my brand is very women celebrating and not male bashing. And that's a very big distinction in my space of focusing on business women, because there definitely are the other, women in business brands that are not that. And so, just be authentic to whatever you stand for yourself and your business brand and stand by it, So I have plenty of people who are wanting to post on BizWomen Rock and wanting to engage in conversation with me and BizWomen Rock about, oh, we must fight the man. And, women still make, 75 cents to the dollar of men. And that's, I have no judgment over that, but that's not where I want to shine the light. I don't want to focus on highlighting the problems. I want to focus on highlighting all the great stuff and move the needle forward. I don't even want to talk about a glass ceiling. I don't believe in the glass ceiling. And I'm sure you can give me 80 zillion stats of why a glass ceiling still exists. But for myself personally and the BizWomen Rock brand, because I created it, I'm not choosing to even see a glass ceiling. So everything in my communication on social media is in line with that, right? So yeah, so just be authentic to you and your brand.
Awesome. I just want to touch base on when you talked about scheduling there. For those of that don't have the funds right now, if they're just starting out and they don't have the money to hire a team, there are a couple great programs I've used over the years to do some scheduling, and one of them is Hootsuite. That's HOOTSUITE, and Social Jukebox, which my friend Tim Fargo owns, which also is a platform to help with scheduling. So those are two. They have free versions and paid versions. So if you need to start out, that's a place for you to go to for that. Just want to touch base on that before I forget about that. So what would you say are some big opportunities in using social media that they might be missing out on?
Well, one that I am very, very passionate about is one that you got to hear me talk about at PodFest this year, which are Facebook groups. And I think that there's such an untapped potential there for business owners to really leverage them to build communities. And I'm talking to anyone who wants to build a following or a tribe or a community for the purpose of whatever. So if you're a musician and you want a place to house the people that love your music and share your music with all of those people. If you are an entrepreneur and you want to kind of have a place where you can house all the people who love your product or service and you can share with them about that. Facebook groups are so powerful for that because they give you a multidimensional way to interact with your community, with people who have like interests, who are interested in what you have to say. And it gives you an opportunity to build a very deep relationship one-on-one with them and within a group. And most importantly, they can build relationships amongst each other without you having to be there all the time. So, it's really powerful. I know sure there are people listening who are like, well, I'm a member of this group and I'm a member of tons. The power behind them is mind-blowing for being able to truly connect deeply and intimately with the people touching you and your brand, and being able to do that in a very, very special way.
That's a really great idea. I do not have a Facebook group, but I think I may have to start one now. It's a great idea. It really is.
Yeah.
I know it's really tough because I'm a one-woman band myself, and it's been very difficult because I'm just doing it all myself, but I hope that's going to change within the next year. That's my goal.
There are plenty of people doing it all on their own, and it's like, okay, you have to prioritize. I'm like, what moves the needle the furthest, the most, and that's where you put your time, and then, you have your organizational chart, and you are wearing every single hat there, and then one of these days you get to hire that out to somebody and make that goal, and, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, it is a very... I actually personally think it's really important to wear all the hats.
Without a doubt. I mean, I was a freelancer for many, many years, and I added up all the jobs I've had since I started working when I was 14. I think I've had like 103 different jobs that I've worked at. So
Great.
I've worked in every kind of business, and somebody said, well, what haven't you worked in? I said, well, I haven't been a Playboy bunny, but I did work in the Playboy building in Manhattan when I lived out there. So, it was great because I got to learn so many different aspects of business, whether it's finance or real estate. I mean, I have my real estate broker's license, and so all these different things. And it really, I think every job helps me today in what I do.
I love that.
So, it's important for people, to try different things too, because I think they get stuck and they think this is all they can do, or they have fear of trying new things and they may fail or what have you. I think the more failures you get, the closer you are to a great success is how I look at it. So.
I agree.
So what would you say might be some of the best utilized social media tools that every business needs to use and know about?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Well, we mentioned scheduling software already, so that's pretty vital. This is basic, but like any app so that you can do it on the go, that you can interact with people on the go. I mean, obviously, like, Facebook Messenger, Facebook, the Facebook Groups app, the Facebook Page app, and I'm sure every single social media platform has their specific app that helps you do that along the way and on your busy life. And I guess just in general, this is not a specific tool, but some sort of, it's called a marketing editorial calendar, and that's what anyone who runs any sort of like a a marketing business has a marketing editorial calendar. And basically what that is, for the purposes of social media, it's when are you posting what and how is it going out? And so you can sort of see, if you're really talking about pretty large scale marketing efforts, having an editorial calendar so you know what's going out when is really important. And especially if you have a couple people who are working on it, so you guys can all see it. And just an easy tool for that and super simple is like a Google spreadsheet, through the Google Drive, because that's shareable, multiple people can see it, and, it's editable in real time. So you see, okay, this thing is going to be going live. Let's say that you're posting a video. Okay, well, that's going to go live on this date. So in accordance with that, we need to make sure that A, B, and C go out as well. So, just a super simple spreadsheet is although my mind works in spreadsheets, so. But the scheduling software is pretty necessary. Canva is another one. Any, images in social media are very, very powerful. Video is super powerful. So, learn how to use your phone to be able to make great videos. So whatever tools are out there to do that, there are a ton of them. Canva, Canva.com is, and PicMonkey, I think, is another one. Those are all ways that have free versions to be able to create graphic or any sort of really good looking visuals for your social media posts. So if you want
I love them.
Yeah, I do too. We use Canva a lot. So like if you want to post, like a quote, let's say, and that's part of what you're going to post for the day, you can make a really beautiful quote in Canva. And like I don't pay for Canva. Everything I use is free. You can, if there's rich ones in there that you want to buy, they're like $1 every,
$1. I know, you can't beat it.
Yeah. So, it's really, really easy to be able to do that. The other thing is I'll say Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com is another great resource for social media. It's a little overwhelming. You literally can get anything there. And the deal behind Fiverr is you get anything for $5.
Exactly.
Obviously, they have a lot of upsells, but so if you want to create X for your social media campaign, go to Fiverr, and more than likely somebody will do it for $5.
I've had music created for me. I've had logos created for me. I've had a host of things created on Fiverr. I love it, love it, love it.
Yep.
I wish they were out 30 years ago. It would have made my life a lot easier.
Right?
Well, I know we're running out of time here, but do you have any final thoughts to help motivate, jumpstart their businesses or reach their goals?
It's a very, very broad question, but I guess the immediate thing where my mind goes is just to take action. I'm a big planner, and I've had to learn over these years to stop planning and take action and just go with it. So I have become pretty good at living in the space of like, I need some sort of planning and organization in order for me to wrap my mind around the action I'm about to take, but I don't create a plan that takes me hours and hours and hours or even days and days and days. I will work for like an hour, like literally just before this call, I was working on kind of revamping my Q2 plan for BizWomen Rock so I know where I am. So now I can use that as a jumping point to take action. And it took me 30 minutes, if that. So I guess the number one piece of advice that I could give is to get clear on a plan, but don't spend too much time on that, and then just take action. Like, you're going to screw up. I guarantee it. I guarantee it 1,000 times. So just take action, because if you sit here and wait until a plan is perfect, you're never going to move. And there's 80 other people who have already passed you up and figured it out because they took action last week and they've already made the 20 mistakes that they needed to in order to figure out where they need to be. So take action, because every single step that you take moving forward is going to lead you to a new space where you now know what to do next and take the next best step. So that is probably the best piece of information I've ever received and the best piece of advice that I could give.
Fantastic. So tell me, Katie, how can our listeners learn more about you and what you do if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, so everyone can find out a little bit more about me and what BizWomen Rock is all about by going to BizWomenRock.com. There you'll find, a whole piece on my podcast, so you'll be able to access all the podcast interviews. If anyone's interested, there's access there to the Facebook group's Rock course that I have, obviously, because I am am so passionate about it. I have a whole education behind it, and it's just full of a lot of great resources. And if anyone that is listening happens to be a businesswoman, you are welcome to join the BizWomen Rock community, and you can do that by opting in on the website there.
Awesome. And you have PodFest 2017 next year. Is that going to be here in Tampa at all?
Actually, we literally just signed the paperwork to have it at a phenomenal resort in Orlando. So it's becoming an amazing, like, family destination, kind of double dip kind of an event. So yeah, so we're so excited. It is a gorgeous resort too. So so it's going to be in Orlando. Looks like February of 2017, and PodFest is really the place. It's an international conference for the independents and the beginners of podcasts. And so if you are thinking about podcasting, or you've been podcasting for a little while, or you've been in podcasting for 10 years, if you're running your own podcast and really passionate about it and want to be around other podcasters, you want to learn the information about how to move your business forward with your podcast, that's where you need to be. And we'd love to have you. It's such a fun event. And obviously I got to meet Dawn Marie there, so life is good because of it, you know? It's already
it was wonderful. It was so good. I mean, I had just flown back from New York because I was at Social Media Week that same week. And so I had the back-to-back conferences, and I just was like, I was so disappointed with the Social Media Week in New York. And I was just like, really? I was not happy. and PodFest was so phenomenal. I mean, as soon as I got there, though I got there a little late the first day, it was just mind-blowing. And everybody there was just wonderful. And it was just, you know, you learn so many things. And so I definitely suggest anyone out there who is interested, please check it out next year. It's going to rock your world. and it's pretty funny because it was at the hotel that I actually wound up staying at when I lived in New York. I came down here when I was working with Clinique at the time in their executive offices, and one of the things I had to do in the marketing department was to work in the field 2 times a year. So I was like, well, can I do it in Florida? And they said, sure. And I wound up staying at the hotel. So it was so bizarre. Like, it was very surreal because that was like in 2003, I think. So I'm like, here it was, you know, years later, and going to the PodFest. So I was like, okay, now I live here.
Oh my gosh, great! I love it.
Life is bizarre. So, Katie, thank you so much for taking your time to get out on this call tonight. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, I'm honored that you had me. Thank you very much.
Anytime. And if there's anything I can do to help you with your planning and any of the things, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thanks, girl.
And thank you to our listeners out there today. Thank you for being here. I wouldn't have a show if it weren't for you. And don't forget to check out The Little Drummer Girl with Dawn Marie Mutel at YouTube for any video footage. The link is below in the show notes. And please, if you like this show, please subscribe and share it with your friends. We're also on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and SoundCloud. And remember, it's never too late to begin to live the life of your dreams and leave a trail blazing behind you. Rock on and rock out, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Namaste.